Now, last but not least, every once in a while, you might want to try and grade a log curve normally. Now, is there any harm in this? Well, not really, but what you need to be aware is, as I mentioned, logarithmic signals are not necessarily just a flat signal. Every once in a while, they have different colors and they have different amounts of contrast being added to them. The reason why a color management system like Resolve Color Management or a lookup table is used is because it isn't just easy enough to apply contrast and saturation. That said, there's no such thing as doing anything incorrectly in color correction, although you should be aware of the fact that if your image is looking really funky, you may want to try using the color management system or a lookup table provided from your manufacturer to help you normalize. That said, let's go ahead and normalize this clip right here using contrast and saturation. Let's start by centering the video signal with the offset control. Right about in the center, because if we recall, our contrast control and our pivot control is going to split right at about 435, or right about here. So if I can get the middle of our image to be right about there, then it's going to split it right in the middle. Bam. Now if I go to 2 and lower our highlights down, you'll see that we do have some highlight detail there. Now our image is pretty colorful, but not colorful enough for my taste, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more saturation to it. And there we go. I've gone ahead and normalized this signal just using contrast, pivot, and saturation. So you can also create an S-curve when the curves are ganged, so you're manipulating the YRGB signal. And you can also use the lift, gamma, and gain controls as I'm about to do here. I can do the same thing. Again, I'm going to set offset, right, so our signal is right in the middle. I'm going to take our lifts and set our shadow point. Then I'm going to set our highlights. Add some saturation. And there we go. I've gone ahead and normalized this image. Now, because we don't know exactly what the sky was supposed to look like, we are making an assumption that this is the exact orange that it was intending and the camera was intending to capture. Especially on higher end cinema cameras, you really do want to use something like color management or a lookup table instead of just manually throwing up your saturation and adding contrast and calling it a day. That said, there's nothing wrong with experimenting with different clips and seeing what comes up when you do play with your typical color controls like lift, gamma, gain, curves, and your contrast, pivot, and saturation sliders. Remember, Resolve Color Management first, lookup table second, and manual normalization is third. Remember, there's no wrong ways to do it, but there certainly is a preferred and more accurate way, especially when you're dealing with colors that you're not exactly sure should be there.